Whenever you're factoring a trinomial, there's a couple of things that you can do to simplify things before you even start looking at the numbers. Now, remember, not all trinomials are factorable, and that's okay, but here's a just quick way to get an idea of what's happening before you even start looking at the numbers. The two things you want to look at are these two signs. Now, the generic form of a trinomial is ax squared plus bx plus c. But if we look at these signs when we start looking at the numbers, we know that when we factor, we're going to end up with two binomials. Now, what this sign right here tells you is that both of these signs within our binomial are going to be the same. What this sign tells you, if this one's positive, this one tells you what those two signs are going to be. So in this case, we know just from looking at this that we're going to have two binomials that are both added together. In this case, again, we've got a plus sign right here, but this time we've got a negative sign. So when we begin factoring, we know that both signs are going to be the same because this is positive, and both signs are going to be, in this case, negative because this one's negative. Now, when we start looking at these two signs here, we know this one's negative. And remember, when it was positive, both signs were going to be the same. All this means is both signs are going to be different. And so it really doesn't matter if this is plus or negative. We know that one's going to be plus, one's going to be minus. Now, it'll make a difference when you're factoring which one you put where. But for now, all we need to understand is this sign means that they're both going to be different signs. So if we're looking at this in an application, if we're going to factor this, we know right away, looking at this, because this is plus, that both signs are going to be this sign, which is positive. So now all we're doing, and since we don't have a number in front of our x squared, it's just a 1x squared, we're only looking for factors of 6 that will add to 5. And there's only two that do that. 2 times 3 is 6, and 2 plus 3 is 5. So we know we've got an x here, and we've got a 2 and a 3 here. Now looking down at this problem, we know from this sign that we're going to have a positive and a negative. So this time we're looking for factors of 6 with a difference of -1. Okay, so again, we're going to use 2 and 3 because the difference between 2 and 3 is 1. In this case, since this is a negative, that means our larger number needs to be negative. So that's going to be a 3 and that's going to be a 2. And that's how we factor. But we took out a lot of the issues just by simply knowing what our end product or our end factor was going to at least look like before we even started looking at the numbers. Now, over the next few days, I want to start making some videos about other different factoring techniques and ways to simplify things, because factoring is very, very useful when you're doing mathematics, trying to simplify things. But sometimes we get bogged down in the mechanics of it rather than just having it become second nature to us. So be looking for some of these other videos on factoring.